Hello guys, Retro Guy here. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about this mini disc player. Well, player and recorder. So this is a MDS-S50 model, as you can see here. Get the focus on, yeah, there you go. That's the model. So this is an MDLP recorder and player, and I bought it on eBay as defective for a very good price. And as soon as I tested it, it wasn't loading or ejecting the disc at all. So clear symptom of failure on the belt. I'm going to show you in the mechanism in a moment. But after fixing that, I realized that it wasn't recording as well. So it was able to play the discs, but not record them. So I did some research. So this is basically the main optical unit. Inside that, I basically disassemble it. As for the loading and ejecting, the only thing that is needed is basically for this belt, this rubber belt, to be replaced. And in my case, I haven't even used the one that should be, designed for this particular model. I actually got this from a supermarket, and it just works just fine. So the loading and ejecting mechanism is working perfectly, but I still had a problem with recording. It won't record. It basically keeps complaining that disk is protected even if the tab is in the recording position on the discs. What I realized is, okay, maybe the sensor is not kicking in. So I disassembled the whole thing and was trying to understand how the sensor worked. And I just found this little piece that you see here. So this was broken, and there is actually a cover on top of this that was broken. I removed it, and basically I realized that the sensor pin was missing. It's impossible to find that part, so I just gave up. And what I then tried to figure out is how this worked. So there is a little pin that when you move the tab on the disc to the recording mode, it actually pressed it down and it short those two metal tabs here. So let me see if I can show you that using my tweezers here. So those two metal tabs here and here, they basically have to make contact so that the disc can be recorded. So an easy fix for that, just following the traces, I realized that they basically get soldered on the board right here. So let me just put this like that. So this is basically where they get soldered to the board. And what I did to fix this, between double quotes here, is basically to bridge those two pins together. Bridging them together will cause that sensor that is now non-existent to basically close the circuit, and it would basically understand that the disc has the recording tab on. The downside of this fix is all discs, regardless of having the protective tab on or off, will be able to be recorded on. So you have to use now the recorder. I have to use the recorder with a little added caution. Other than that, it should work just fine. So what I'm going to do now is reassemble this, put this optical unit back to the main unit there, reconnect the cables, close the case and test it and see whether or not this worked. Another thing that I wanted to show you is this. As for the case, it was in really bad shape. So this is the repainted result. So as you can see, it looks original now. It was really luck that I've got the paint that matched very closely to the original one. So I did a work here. See, it's not perfect. So you have some dents that, it is really, really nice when compared to the state when I've got this. So if this works, this fix, that would be awesome because of the price that I paid for this unit. It was really, really cheap. for MDLP. Yes, of course not functional, but nevertheless, I think the fix should be very, very easy. That is the only thing needed. So let me reassemble this. I'm going to do this off camera, and when everything is put back together, I'm going to record another session and you guys get to see whether or not this worked. Okay, so bear with me here. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so the unit is back in place. I still have to put the screws on, but it's already connected to the main unit, and the main unit is powered on. I have here a blank disc, and I have already tested and it's working. So let's put this in. So this was already happening before. So the loading mechanism is working fine. So it detects as a blank disc, right? And what was happening before is if I press the record button here, or try to edit the disc anyways, it will basically come back to me saying protected. And now it works. See? So as I mentioned, the problem with this method is you see that the disc is not write protected, and still, actually sorry, the disc is write protected, right, because the tab is not on, and still it will basically accept to record on it. So that's the only downside of this fixing method. I'm happy because now I can record and play discs in MD format, MDLP if I want, and yeah, that's all I wanted. So yeah, that's perfect. That's really, really a good find for this particular model, which is very small, and it fits perfectly in my unit there. As you can see, it has the perfect space. So yeah, very happy with this. So if you guys have a problem like similar to mine, it's an easy fix really. Just open it up, remove the optical unit here, and disassemble it. You're going to find that little sensor. If you are able to fix the sensor, even better. Right? In my case, unfortunately, it was smashed, so there is nothing I could do there. In this case, you could do basically the same thing as I did. Just go and solder and create a bridge between those 2 points, and off you go. Should work just fine. Cheers, guys.